All right, guys. Today we have DuFour and Mike Vorkunov, and we are in another episode of Defend the Take, the greatest show on YouTube where people get to defend takes that may or may not believe. And today, guys, we are talking about the Orlando Magic, quite possibly the greatest franchise in all of NBA history. I don't know why there's a laugh going for you, Dave. That might be a negative point. Um,
Quite possibly.
But today, guys, the three takes that we will be discussing is number one, Paolo Banchero will be the greatest player in Orlando Magic history. Number two, the Orlando Magic will be the number one seed in the East this season. And number three, Tyrese Haliburton would make this Orlando Magic team finals contenders. You guys will each have 60 seconds to defend your side of the take, and then we'll switch off, and then you guys will discuss and try to convince me that you are correct, and whoever is most correct at the end of all of this wins. Now, to decide who gets which side of the take, as always, we have a trivia question. And Mike, since you are the guest, I will give you the first guess at the answer to this trivia question. But the question I have for you is, do you know when I became an Orlando Magic fan?
When you became an Orlando Magic fan.
Which
All right.
season?
All right. Can I ask you follow-up questions like it's the spelling bee?
No.
Okay. Can I at least ask how old you are so I can make you reveal your age in a public setting?
I am younger than you and Dave.
I mean, younger than me, okay, but Dave's like Methuselah. Um, all right, I'm gonna go 2006.
Okay, Dave, what is your guess?
I'm gonna say 0809.
Oh wait, oh
That
nine is the correct
that
answer. But that
Hedo
is not the trivia question.
Turkoglu
That's
season. I
it's
know
You,
Hedo Turkoglu
you
is
know
your
what?
guy.
You know what? I thought better of you. I thought it wasn't that you jumped on a bandwagon. I was giving you the benefit of the doubt.
Hedo Turkoglu was the greatest player in basketball history for about like 12 days. It was
yeah,
amazing.
yeah, yeah. He was.
It
Not
was
if you ask Anna
crazy.
Cantor.
But anyways, guys, that is not the trivia question today. My trivia question, and you guys are both having an equal shot at this, is on that 2008-2009 Orlando Magic team, there are a total of 16 players listed on Basketball Reference. Out of those 16 players, you guys have to guess who had the highest three-point percentage that season. And whoever guesses the player with the higher three-point percentage gets to choose which side of the debate they get to be on. So
You
Mike,
know,
you're the guest. First guess, go for it.
Listen, there's only one answer I can go with. Rashard Lewis.
Okay. Dave, what is your guess?
man, it's tough because you're saying 3-point percentage and volume comes into play here. So it could like someone might be 3 of 5 and that's it. Oh
Getting
man.
somewhere, Dave. Getting somewhere.
I know. Like um
You're thinking about this rationally. See, that's
I
why I just went
am.
Rashard
Yeah.
Lewis.
Oh man, listen, I don't know the answer intuitively, so I gotta like reason it out, logic it out, trying to think about that team. All right, this is crazy. This is crazy. Dwight Howard?
Dave, you could not be more wrong.
Damn.
White
Okay.
Howard
I was like,
shot
I don't know, maybe,
0% that.
but maybe he took one and made it. You know what I mean? Like it could have been one of those. If I'm gonna make a guess, let me just try to come up with a wild
The,
one.
the only guy below Dwight Howard on this list is someone who did not take a single three that season. And so, Dave, you could not be more wrong. The correct answer, Dave, I was
Is
hoping you would
JJ
get.
Redick,
No, no. It is a bald guy, Marcin Gortat.
Marcin Gartat.
Oh,
Okay, but you see, my logic here was I was thinking a center. I was like, well, and I thought maybe Dwight took like a heave and hit it.
He took, let me see. I think he took two threes and he did not hit either one of them.
Probably heaves. Yeah, yeah. Man, yeah.
But okay,
Okay.
Mike, since you are closer to the correct answer, do you want the pro side or the con side to all of these takes?
I'm going to let you guys in a little bit behind the curtain. This is my first time, probably the only time I'll ever get to do this.
No, 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 no. We'll bring you back.
Dave was saying beforehand that he likes to do the pro side of this because it really just is more fun. So I wanted to do the pro side just to screw him over.
Oh wow. Okay. So Dave
Complete
gets to be
wrestling
a
move,
hater.
right?
This is And that's what we call a swerve.
Yeah.
That's a swerve. Okay.
Well, that being said, the first take again, reminding you guys, is Paolo Banchero will be the greatest player in Orlando Magic history. Mike, since you are on the pro side, you get to go first, and your 60 seconds begins now.
Listen, this is easy, right? Do you know who the 3 greatest Magic of all time are? I'm going to name it for you. Dwight Howard, Nick Anderson, Nikola Vucevic, all right? That's career win shares. That's the only metric that matters. You can't name any 3 better Magic ever. You're telling me Paolo Banchero can't be better than those guys? All right, I promise you, he will never miss a crucial free throw in an NBA Finals game. Boom, better than Nick Anderson. He'll make the playoffs a few times. Better than Nikola Vucevic. All right, Dwight Howard, he made the finals. Like, he was pretty good. I got no beef about him. All right, whatever. But Banchero will be there longer. At his peak, he will be just as good. He might actually win an MVP award. Who knows? I think he'll have the long-term stay in Orlando, be very good for a very long time, and he will go down as the best Magic player ever, better than that Shaq guy who left, by the way. If you bail on a team, you can't be the best player ever. Better than Penny Hardaway. Tragic. He will never have better commercials or shoes, potentially.
Time. All right, Dave, your 60 seconds begins now.
Mike. There's no way Paolo Banchero is going to be the greatest Orlando magician of all time. He might not even be the best one on his team. Franz Wagner may wind up having a better career when you consider his role. And as he gets more time with the ball in his hands, more playmaking. Banchero is a great player. Don't get me wrong. I think he's going to be one of the best all time. But Dwight Howard is the best Orlando Magic player ever. And it's going to be hard for Banchero to catch up to him. You mentioned played in the finals, 3-time Defensive Player of the Year, All-NBA defender the entire time he was there. Was in the mix for an MVP. I mean, that's such a high level that it's just statistically unlikely Banchero is going to get there. Think about the people he has to compete with. Do you think he's going to wind up being better than Jason Tatum, for this run that they're on because they're close enough in age? I just don't think so. I don't think he's going to be able to collect the accolades. And unless they get some guard help, this team is not going to make a finals.
Time. Okay. Feel free to discuss.
Look, the best magicians I've ever seen, Hermione Granger, Albus Dumbledore. I was trying to make it a Harry Potter.
I'm trying to make this a thing. I mean, we really should be calling them magicians. But it is true. It would take a magician to get Paolo Banchero to be the best Orlando Magic player ever because Dwight was so good. I mean, he really fundamentally, he kind of changed the way NBA defense was played. I think that when you think about all-time greatest defensive runs, you have to talk about Dwight Howard. He also, during that time, happened to be one of the best pick and roll bigs ever. Super efficient offensive player, the best defensive player of his era in that time. I just think that's a tough road to hoe for Paolo. The defense is the hardest part.
He'll never be as good a defender as Dwight Howard. I'm not going to try to make that argument, but Dwight Howard pretty much had like 5 very great seasons at his prime in Orlando, right? Then he left for the Lakers. Then he left for Houston after that. His last season in Orlando, he played 54 games. He was mired by injuries there. Everyone remembers that. Shaq was really good. Penny probably has a case to be the best magician of all time. Also, he got hurt. Those guys had kind of, truncated primes, right? I think Paolo will not have that. He will not have the same type of career. He'll be there into his 30s. He'll be all NBA type of player, and he'll stick around long enough to be the best ever.
What is making you think that he's going to stick around? Because the history of the Magic would suggest that doesn't happen. And no offense, Sam, because I know this is your squad. I don't know why players don't stick around. Orlando, a lovely city. It's got plenty to do. The weather is amenable, especially during the NBA season, and you can get out of town during the summer when it's nasty. No state income tax. I don't know why players don't stay, but they don't. And so I wouldn't expect Paolo to be there beyond that second contract. So I think he's going to have probably a similar run of time. And I just don't think he's going to hit that peak that Dwight did. And 5 years is a long time, man. That's a whole career for a lot of players. I mean, Nikola Jokic has been the best player in the world for not even 5 years yet, right? Like, and we talk about him being a top 20 ever. So what Dwight was able to do in his short time there, which still was almost a decade, I think is going to be tough for Paolo to touch.
Look, I think when Shaq left, it was a totally different NBA economy, right? Like we can't compare that. He might have stayed much longer if he was kind of working within this kind of NBA, making more money. He wouldn't have to flee to LA. Again, Penny, totally different situation. His career just ended way early, or he got hurt way early in his career. Dwight left, but like that was just weird, man. Like, come on, we all remember that. That was just a weird situation.
Just
I don't
drinking
know,
Diet
maybe
Pepsi, minding my business.
Yeah. Yeah, if the candy was better, he would have stuck around. They got better candy now. There's no reason for Paolo to leave. I think he'll be in Orlando like 6-7 years just because of the way the CBA works, right? You got to get your bag. You got to get your second contract. You got to stick around for a few years. The money's so much more. There's really no imperative to leave unless you're truly, truly, truly unhappy. And they already got a pretty good team around them that he doesn't have to start thinking about that. You mentioned Franz. Great player. Jalen Suggs, coming around. We'll see what happens at the guard spot if one of these guys can ever truly hit. Anthony Black, Cole Anthony, like we'll see. Markelle Fultz, I don't know. We'll see down the line. They're a pretty good position too to like make a big move somewhere here. This could be a little mini budding big team in the East happening here.
So I got one question before I make my final decision for both of you guys. Will Paolo Banchero ever win an MVP in his career?
See, I don't see it. I don't see it. I just think that he is not likely to get to that level. I mean, and a lot of it is because the league is stacked. I mean, there's just a lot of guys who are really, really good. And as LeBron ages out of the league a decade from now, Steph Curry and Kevin Durant and those guys get up into their 40s and start falling into the bottom half of the top 10. The guys that are going to replace them, it's like Joel Embiid, it's Nikola Jokic, who's only 27, it's Jason Tatum, it's Luka Doncic, who's 24. I mean, it's just it's too top heavy in that fight. And he's likely in the, let's say best case scenario, he's in that 12 to 20 range. I just don't know if he can break into that top tier to ever get consideration for it. Can Orlando find themselves in a place in a couple years where they're a 62, 63 win team? Maybe. I mean, I think we're a few years away from that.
No, I don't think Paolo's ever going to win MVP. Probably not. And for all the reasons Dave stated, I always have to just guess no, just because it's too damn hard to win an MVP. But I'm guaranteeing it right now, guaranteeing it. He will win multiple in-season tournaments. You tell me if Dwight Howard has ever done that. Shaq never did it. Penny never did it. Dwight didn't do it.
I don't know. Did they have an in-season tournament in that league in Taiwan that
maybe
Dwight was playing in?
Maybe. That's true.
He might have you there. He might have you
okay.
there.
Dwight made a 3-point contest. Paolo might never make a 3-point contest.
He's probably not going to. But I don't think Paolo's going to have to go earn money in Taiwan. I will say that. I will safely say that.
Mike, you're not getting any points because you should have said yes. But Dave, you're getting minus points for being a hater. So -1 Dave, Mike 0 heading into the second prompt.
These minus points, you put me in a hole and I always dig out. That's the thing. I always dig out. Yeah.
The second prompt, the Orlando Magic will be the #1 seed in the East this season. Mike, your 60 seconds begins now.
Look, they're a game and a half back right now as we're recording this. Their defense is really, really, really good. 1 point, they're third, I think, in the NBA in defensive rating, right? They've got the bodies. They're still a very young team, so the type of roster and the type of team that should be able to stay healthy theoretically over a long season. They have the incentive to play hard throughout the entire year, right? Like Milwaukee, they're going through it. They're trying to figure it out. At some point, everyone's going to need a break. They played really hard to try to win that in-season tournament chip. Didn't work. They're going to rest on down the line. Philly, they're still working through some stuff. Boston, injuries could hit them at any point. You never know. Orlando's coming around. That offense is going to get better. They still need guys to come back. Wendell Carter, Markelle Fultz. They're still not fully healthy. And so I think once the team is healthy, maybe they make a little in-season addition at some point. Paolo continues his ascent. Franz continues his ascent. They're playing for the 1 seed. They're going to get the 1 seed. That's how good and young and talented this team is. They're going to come early.
Time. Dave, 60 seconds begins now.
They are second in the standings right now. They're third in net rating in the East, and behind Philly and Boston. I think the Bucks are going to be better as the season progresses. I just think it's going to be harder for Orlando to keep track of everyone else. Boston is far and away in a tier by themselves in the East for me. I think they are safely that 1 seed. At this point, Orlando is a top 6. This is a playoff team, I think, because of that defense. But the offense is what's going to keep them from getting into that 1 seed and maybe even the 2 seed. With Philly, they're just a more complete team right now. They're playing really, really good basketball. I think that they could go on a nice run, similar to what Orlando just did a couple weeks ago when what was it, 8 straight that they wound up winning. They are a very good team, but it's a whole different thing to get that 1 seed and to be able to do it all year. This is a super young team. I expect a little bit of regression from them, although, again, the defense is a great indicator.
Okay. Discuss.
Look, it's hard. I'm a fan of this team. I have to exist in reality since I'm on the negative side. And so because of that, it just feels unobtainable for them to be the 1 seed and probably unsustainable for them to be a home court advantage team in the East. I do think that the Bucks are going to figure it out to a better degree than they have. So I expect, a little bit of shuffling to happen there. Orlando's good. They're just young. Young teams are inconsistent.
Sure, but I mean, they haven't even hit their peak yet, I don't think. They started slowly. They went on a big winning streak, right? As I said, they're not fully healthy yet. Once they get everyone back, this is going to be a better team. And I think the interesting thing is because they're so young.
Who's everyone? Wendell Carter?
Yeah, Wendell Carter.
No. Because if they get Wendell Carter back and they replace, Goga has been great for them. I actually think listen, if they play Wendell, it's guaranteeing that they're not going to get that 1 seed. You could say once they get healthy, they're better. No, I think actually they are better right now because they don't have him out there. I think Goga just is a better fit for them, works better for him defensively. So that's another reason why I don't think that they can be that 1 seed. I mean, look, it's just what they're doing is working. I wouldn't mess it up and go back to what wasn't working. It's pretty obvious to me the path forward is the one that they're on. I just don't think they've got enough, especially in the guard play, to be able to get that offense up enough to be a 1 seed.
Well, look, why are we assuming the guards are going to be the same throughout this whole season? Once they start smelling the 1 seed at around the trade deadline, who knows what the Orlando Magic might do? There is no limit to the imagination.
But it's more about availability. Being in Orlando. Not going to be a great trade season. I mean, Zach LaVine, you don't want to do that, right? You don't want to.
Every year there's a trade that we don't see coming, and your mind gets blown, right? Why isn't this the year?
Yeah, I just don't think that this team and this organization is willing to throw a bunch of chips in to try to win this year. I just don't think that that's a thing. This is a slower build. They've been patient with it. I mean, part of the hallmark of what they've done, look at what they did with Markelle Fultz. Rehabbed him. They brought him in with patience. This team is not in a rush. And I think rushing to be the 1 seed to maybe lose in the first round, probably not the first round, but maybe lose in the first round because your offense isn't going to be playoff ready. I think that would be a mistake. So I just don't think that this smart front office that has really nailed a lot of moves the last few years, I don't think that they're going to make that mistake.
I think if we see some improvements, even on the margins, just from the current roster, the offense it obviously needs to improve, right? The defense is already very good. I think it can stay there because of the personnel and the coaching that they have. Mm-hmm. Jamal Mosley, obviously good coach. But you know what? Coach. They're great coach. So they're what? They have the 5th worst 3-point shooting percentage. That can improve a little bit. Their bottom 10 in turnover rate, that can improve a little bit. So you see those little margins, get better on the margins. The defense stays where it is. You keep winning games. And again, there's no reason. They don't have to go out and try to trade for Zach LaVine to just get better. Maybe an Alex Caruso type makes them better. They can get some 3-and-D type of guy that they need. They already have, because they have Franz and they have Paolo, they have the ability to create and play make from the wings, right? So you don't need to have 2 kind of playmaking guards on the floor at all time. Caruso can improve them that way. There's other guys out there. Who knows what the Raptors will do? Maybe there's an opportunity to be had there for a little midseason rental.
Now, if they could get
Look,
Dennis Schroeder, listen, I may sing a different tune. But I mean that honestly, because that's exactly the kind of guy that they could use up front. I mean, if Dennis Schroeder,
what about Malcolm Brogdon?
I love that too. We talked about on Nerder where like we've hit that a few times. Like get a veteran who can actually run pick and roll. I just don't think that the Magic's recent record would suggest they're going to do these things. This is going to be about patience for them. Let their improvement come internally. I mean, you even said there's no reason to think that like Anthony Black couldn't be better the second half of the season. Jalen Suggs coming around, becoming a real piece for them. But I do think that when you're going to be patient, you're going to have your ups and downs. You're going to ride through them. You're not going to push your chips in and try to get the 1 seed. If they wound up with the 1 seed, I think they'd be fine with it. Like they're not going to say, "Oh, we don't want
they'll
it."
take it.
I just think it's unlikely, given the current construction. This team they are going to have downs this year for sure. It happens to almost every team, and especially young teams. They're going to have more ups this year, but maybe not as good as the up that they just had with that 8-game win streak. It's hard to win a lot of games in the NBA, and especially when you're inexperienced, but they're clearly on the right track. I think Orlando is going to be patient about it, though. There's no way they're making a 1 seed.
I think they're going to be patient and conservative about it too, but I think where we disagree is making a move doesn't mean you're putting all your chips in and you're buying the like flashy, nice car. You could just get some nice mid-sized sedan, and that still makes you a lot better. Makes you a lot better in the short and long term. And I could see Orlando doing something like that too, and that's a pathway to the number 1 seed.
Who is the worst player that they could trade for where you would both feel confident? Oh yeah, like this is a 1-2 seed in the East.
Could they get Drew Holiday?
1 seed.
Like,
Jeez.
I mean, yeah, that's what they need.
Drew Holiday.
If you want me to be honest, right? Like, you want to be the best team in the East. Let's be simple about it.
No.
Saying
Well, you want to have the best record in the East.
Yeah, but you need a Drew Holiday. You need a guy like that. I would actually argue they need somebody who's even better on the offensive end, and Drew is not a slouch. But could you get someone who matches what they do on defense? Can't be a target. You can't have Damian Lillard. Maybe they could be the 1 seed, but it would make their defense worse. And that defense is their hallmark. So you need someone who can be effective. I mean, yeah, Drew Holiday might be the worst guy that I think makes him the 1 seed. And part of that is just because you take them away from Boston. You make them worse.
What about Anthony Simon? Penny Simons, a new Penny in Orlando.
There's no. That player archetype doesn't work.
I think it works on a roster like Orlando where you already have so much length and size and other guys who can create, and he can kind of take the burden off of Paolo. I think that would be an interesting guy to throw into the mix. Hammered
in the pick and roll all day long, and now all of a sudden your defense is being just pulled out and leveraged and running all over the place. That is not effective. That's not Orlando Magic basketball. It's going to be a two-way guard. It's going to be. It's what they do. It's going to be a 6'7" point guard. They are going to find a 6'7" point guard with a 7'2" wingspan, and they're going to dominate. I mean, Michael Carter-Williams with a jump shot.
I mean, if you would have said the offseason, I would have said LaMelo Ball, but that's not happening in season. 6'7" point guard.
Now that would work. That might be the worst. That could maybe get them to the 1 seed next year.
Okay. How many games do you think it takes to be the 1 seed? How many wins?
What are we saying this year? 54?
They can move 54 maybe? Games. They can move 54 games.
That's a
Throw
lot.
Malcolm Brogdon there easy.
That's a lot. How many did they win last year, Sam? Not that many.
54. Not 54.
Yeah. No. Maybe 54 divided by 2. I don't know.
That's an improvement.
Dave was trying to play on my heartstrings a little bit by talking about this Wendell Carter Jr. slander because he knows I'm not a Wendell Carter Jr. fan. And because of that, Mike, I cannot give you a point. But also, Dave is representing the side of the argument that I disagree with, and so he gets another negative point.
This is stacked against me now.
Yeah.
This is stacked against me. I'm down 2 points, and no one has a point.
Yeah, it's -2-0 hanging into the final take. But the final take, right. Take number 3. And again, you can win multiple points on a take. You just have to be good about it. Take number 3. Tyrese Haliburton would make this team NBA Finals contenders. Mike, your 60 seconds begins now.
Look, this is too easy. I don't know if I'm going to need all 60 seconds. Look, man, Tyrese Haliburton, really, really good. Kevin Garnett said he's in the conversation. Yeah, he's in the conversation. You throw that guy on the Orlando Magic, you're talking about a legit top 5, top 3 point guard in the NBA this year. Solves all their troubles. They can't hit threes. You know what Tyrese Haliburton can do? He can hit threes. They turn the ball over too much. You know what Tyrese Haliburton doesn't do? Turn the ball over ever. I don't think he has any turnovers at all this year. It's crazy. You put him and Paolo Banchero on the same team. Imagine the passing on that team when those guys are playing together. Him and Franz too. They can play with pace then. They can play inside the half court. I mean, my brain is like blowing up imagining Tyrese Haliburton. And we solved their offensive problems. We know the defense is legit. They'll be able to cover up for him on the defensive end. Look, they're going to be able to contend to get out of the East right away if you throw Tyrese Haliburton on the Magic this season. I don't need the other second. Go ahead, Dave.
Tyrese Haliburton is the point of attack defender for the 28th ranked defense in the NBA. He's a human turnstile. He is a human turnstile. He might be the worst defensive guard that starts in the NBA. Goes against everything the Orlando Magic believe. And your defense would take a huge step back. Your offense would step up, but your defense is going to take a step back, big time. He is going to be targeted relentlessly. And I think that we're going to see this year for the Pacers when they get to the playoffs. He's going to get cooked. Every team, every opposing team is going to involve him in a pick and roll. Every single team. It's what they do. We watched the Lakers just absolutely destroy them because the defense just isn't there, and Haliburton's a big part of that. Yes, he's a talented offensive player. Yes, he stretches the floor. No, he doesn't turn the ball over. Yes, he'd be a wonderful fit for a lot of what they do, especially his partnership with Banchero. I think that would be fantastic.
Time.
Defense
before you guys discuss, quick question for you, Dave. Are you saying Haliburton makes this team worse?
No, I think it makes them better. But there's a reason that Haliburton didn't come up when we were saying who could they get and be the 1 seed. It's because it's not enough. They need a guy who can play.
It's because they could never get him.
Well, I mean, that's true too. They couldn't get Drew Holiday, but Drew Holiday came to mind. They need a guy who can do both. They need a two-way player. And part of that is because you need a more balanced team. They don't have this bevy of great offensive players. So it's not like in Indiana where you've got Miles Turner effectively stretching the floor, but also can play inside. They've got shooters out there around Haliburton. It's not the same sort of system. You can't play the same way. So you probably wouldn't have the same results. I think it'd be pretty similar. Haliburton is a star. I mean, he's going to be an all-NBA guy this year. And if you can add that to your team, of course, you're going to be better. But you're better in different ways. And I think part of it is because of the trade-off defensively.
Do you know what the most often used Pacers lineups with Tyrese Haliburton are this year? They have Benedict Mathurin and Obi Toppin on the floor. You're telling me Haliburton is the reason
it's
that
all
the
offense.
Pacers are? I'm just saying he's not the reason that defense is so bad this year. Don't put it all on him. It's not like he's playing with the Lakers defense out there. That team is just not very good defensively. He should not burden all of the hate for it, all of the responsibility for it. We can spread that out across the entire Indiana lineup, okay? They play really fast. It's also hard to play defense when you're playing that fast. You can bring them to Orlando, have them play a little bit slower. They'll still be efficient. They'll still be really good. He'll still be a great offensive player. Franz, Paolo, better to have on the wings than to have Benedict Mathurin, to have Obi Toppin out there. Come on, man.
Sounds to me.
This is a specious argument you're making.
Sounds to me like a culture problem. Is Tyrese Haliburton your leader, your point guard? He can't get these guys to defend. Do you want to bring that to Orlando and infect the defensive-minded culture that you've built there? I don't think so. You don't want to drag down this, what could be the best defense in the NBA by the end of the season. And I mean, like, we all just say, wow, look at what they're doing. I don't think you want to ruin that by bringing in a guy who can't inspire his teammates to defend.
I don't know. It sounds like good leadership by Tyrese Haliburton. He sees what his teammates are not good at. He's creating such an offensive environment that makes up for it.
It's leadership by example. He doesn't play any defense, so they won't.
You know what he does? He wins games. He scores points. He gets buckets. You know what the Pacers do? They win games. They score points. They get buckets. That all comes from
unless
Tyrese
they're
Haliburton.
in-season tournament games, in which case, guess what? They get treated like playoff games, and they were
And they got to
completely
the finals.
exposed. He
They got
was
to the
completely
finals.
exposed when it came to that single elimination game. And by the way, let's not forget, the Orlando Magic, as currently constructed, are better than the Tyrese Haliburton-led Indiana Pacers without a caliber of player like Tyrese Haliburton. So they don't have a guy that we would call NBA, all NBA, and they are better than the Pacers. Don't mess that up. You can't mess it up by bringing in Haliburton.
The Indiana Pacers are only 2 games worse than the Orlando Magic, despite Tyrese having to do all that without the caliber of talent of Paolo Banchero.
Despite how bad he is at defense.
Wagner, Goga, your guy Goga. He doesn't have Goga to play with. The Pacers took him from him, sent him to Orlando, and yet he perseveres. Okay? Look at what the Pacers are doing. He took that team to the in-season tournament finals. You cannot hold that against him. The guy got to the finals. You name me anyone else who's gotten to the finals. Did the Magic get to the in-season tournament finals? Nope. Tyrese Haliburton did.
They were robbed.
Do it again with
they were robbed. No, they were
Magic
robbed.
were robbed.
They were robbed.
Magic were robbed. We agree, Sam. The Magic were completely robbed.
The rules screwed them over.
They did.
The fix is in. It was
Gotta
rigged.
play the game though.
Quick question for you guys. The Magic team currently as constructed, assuming everyone that is injured gets healthy and everyone stays relatively healthy the rest of the season, where do they finish this season?
Number 1.
Are they winning the finals?
They get into the finals.
You think they're going to win a playoff series?
Do I think they're going to win? Yeah, of course I can. I think they can win a playoff series.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously.
All right, Dave, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, if I'm being honest, I think they're probably they're going to be a playoff team. I think that this team is better than to play it, and it's because of the defense. I mean, that defense is very good. Jamal Mosley is a hell of a coach, but they're probably a first round out.
If they get a top 4 seed, theoretically, like they got home field advantage, and that means they have to play bottom 4 seed. Do they make it out the first round?
I think it depends. It's a matchup question. A team that could give them some problems is like Atlanta, oddly, because of it's the variance of the offense.
Are you sure about that?
It's the top end of the offense. Orlando is going to run into a lot of math problems on the offensive end. It's not about their defense getting stops, because the NBA, there's a limit to how many stops you can get. That is the way that the rules work. And it becomes about, what is your top end offense? Can you get more scores? Can you get more scores? Not can you get more stops? And that's where you start to run into issues for them. And this is why it's early for them. They're a couple years away. But I think in a couple years, this is like a conference finals built team because of that defense.
Mike, any thoughts?
I'm sorry. If they get a top 4 seed, you're telling me that they can't win a first round series? You're telling me they're supposed to be scared of the Atlanta Hawks?
I'm saying it's a matchup issue.
Do they even teach math in Florida anymore? What are we talking about here?
Am I in Florida?
The Magic are? You're telling me to be scared of math? Come on. We're not scared of math anymore.
Yes, that's true. I mean, look, math is the devil, but it also the devil's in the details in basketball. And I think being able to score effectively and efficiently is the single most important thing when it comes to getting at through a playoff series. You have to just be able to do it. It's why the Nuggets are.
So what you're saying is the Pacers will win a first round series because they are so good.
Well, you also have to be able to get stops, but you got to be able to get stops.
I hear a flip flopper. I
mean, it takes a complete team. This is my argument. This is why they need a 2-way guard, and they can't have Tyrese Haliburton.
Okay, I'd like to have some consistency. Okay, Senator.
Final
negative 2 points. I'm swinging for the fences.
Final question here, just so I could get the record straight for both of you guys. How far does this Magic team go? Give me a straight up answer.
I'll go first. I'll say they're making the playoffs. I'm going to put it out there. I think they win a round.
Okay.
I think they win. I think they probably lose in 6 in the first round. It depends on who they play.
Okay.
Depends on who they play.
So, for the first time,
I have negative 3 points.
Yes, you get -3 points. You're getting another -point, Dave. And again, Mike does not get a point because he went from saying very unenthusiastically that they would make the finals to nope, they're just winning a first round series. And so Mike does not get a point because he also flip-flopped. But Dave, you finished with -3 points.
Got to go back to the drawing board. I hit the Wendell Carter hate. I gave Dwight Howard credit. I hit Hedo Turkoglu before we even got to the. I mean, I had the whole thing. I was ready for the ultimate Orlando Magic fan, the only Orlando Magic fan that I know in my life. I was playing the old Shaq Diesel CD to get ready for this today.
Dave, the only way you could have won is by recanting all your takes and just being like, Mike is correct. Mike is correct. Mike is correct. I would have given you all the points.
That's not the game.
That is not the game, but it is what it is, man. Well, thank you guys for playing. Let us know in the comments who actually won. It's not Dave because he's always incorrect about the Orlando Magic when he's on the con side.